We are streaming. We are live. Say hi to Justin,
Hello.
our dungeon master. Let me see if we can.
See if we can actually get a shot of the character sheet as we work on character number 2 for our campaign.
Yeah, so this is the character sheet, and you say you can download these
on the Dungeons and Dragons.
It's free.
Yeah, Wizards of the Coast. They're the company that makes all this stuff, but they have them for free. That's an example of the character sheet. We are making our gnomish cleric, and we've just been spitballing a bunch of ideas.
Exactly. So our first character was the half-orc barbarian.
Yes, Bonar
Growrod. And so now we're creating a gnome cleric. And a quick rundown of what we're doing here is we're going to be doing 4 of these episodes where each one we create a new character. And the point is these are the 4 characters that are going to quest together when we start actually playing the game, once we've wrapped up all the character creations. So what we're trying to do is when we're building the group, we need to make sure that we're kind of covering all the bases. You need to have like the barbarian for the brute fighting, and we need a cleric for healing.
Yes.
And then, when we get to the other ones, there will be other skill sets that we need from other characters.
Yeah, so like this, like your standard modern sort of like video games, they sort of take this this idea from Dungeons and Dragons, where you have like a tanky character that can take a lot of damage, and the monsters
moves a little slow, but has brute force and is very strong.
And then you have like the healer character to keep everyone alive, and then you have like the damage dealing character who's like a wizard who like sends spells from the back to deal a bunch of damage. So like all those tropes stem from like your standard Dungeons and Dragons adventuring party from way back when it was first created. So we're doing our healer, which is going to be our gnome. We're doing a gnome cleric, and you have to go into the backstory of our.
Okay, so I haven't quite landed on the name yet, but we are. It's a gnome cleric, and this is a female character, and so the backstory of this female character is that she grew up in a whorehouse. Her mother ran the whorehouse. Her mother was the madam, and she never really saw anything wrong with it. She thought it was perfectly okay. She would kind of sweep up and clean around, and she would be down in the bar like cleaning the glasses. When it was necessary and stuff like that. And she wasn't involved with the naughty stuff going on. She knew about it, but she was still there keeping herself occupied. But now the problem is when she got into probably about her teens, that would be when this whorehouse really just came to an end, because the plague of the necrotizing snatchiitis just ran rampant inside this whorehouse. And one thing I'd kind of been toying with was there was a guy, he's this holier-than-thou character who believes prostitution's wrong, and he intentionally infected everybody with necrotizing snatchiitis, taking down the whorehouse. And so now she has a vendetta against this guy who we'll call, what's the dude from Houston's name? Joel?
Osteen?
Yeah. That's that guy. Yeah. Can we call him by the actual name, or should we come up with like a fake name?
Well, we could call him like the Olstein.
The Olstein. Yeah. Oh, this is great. Okay, so the Olstein, he went in. He doesn't believe prostitution is morally right. So he goes in and he infects everybody with necrotizing snatchiitis. Now, our female character, who I kind of toyed with the idea of Hespina Papillomavis. Hespina Papillomavis. Hespina being just something that came up on a D&D random generator. Papillomavis being on the human papillomavirus play on that one. But maybe we might change that here in a second, because I got some other ideas. Anyway, so seeing this necrotizing snatchiitis taking down the whorehouse from inside, she has dedicated her life to solving disease and trying to figure out how to cure disease, because it's kind of what a cleric does, right?
Yeah, they're healers. They use magic to promote wealth or health rather, and well-being amongst people.
And that's what
all the goodness.
And that's what our character here is focused on doing, and and also taking down the Osteen. Was it the Osteen or the Osteen?
The Olstein.
Olstein.
The Olstein.
The Olstein.
The Olstein.
All right.
See, so this brings up a really neat thing. So, like, when you're creating your background from your character, like, you get to really just make up a whole person. And the fact that we have this sort of antagonist involved in Hespina's life just allows more things for the dungeon master to do to create this vivid world. So now all of a sudden we have Hespina, and we have this sort of like sinister, holier than thou, force my own personal morals upon these other people, sort of antagonists that we can create as well. So now we have the Olstein, who's going to be this maybe recurring character, maybe someone who, if he is involved, definitely Hespina would want to be involved as well. So like this is like a neat part of like the character creation process, because your background and the things you can decide can shape the very nature of the world as well. So a cleric is a holy warrior, a healer. A healer is kind of generic, but what in Dungeons and Dragons terms, a cleric worships some sort of deity and pantheon, and they channel their divine power through them. It manifests in like spells. They can be like attack spells, healing spells, defense spells, all sorts of different spells.
And for our gnome, it's specifically going to be more
healing and
healing spell, because she's a cleric.
Yes.
And we had also we've been flipping through the different kind of deities that she could worship, and I think we landed on.
We picked an actual real deity. We're going to do Aphrodite.
Aphrodite,
the Greek goddess of love and beauty, which is something that Hespina wants to spread: love, beauty, health. We think it fits nicely with her background and upbringing, how she sees the beauty and the natural bliss of lovemaking, even though it's for a profit because it is the oldest profession. But she sees all the goodness behind it, and so we think it's going to be a nice counterpoint to the Olstein's morality as well.
So when it comes to filling out our player sheet here,
yes, first
are we putting Aphrodite in here at all?
Yes. What's going to happen is she is a cleric, and we are going to we can just write down this on our notes somewhere.
Okay.
Because the alignment is going to kind of like dictate that. So her alignment, we're going to make her chaotic good.
So
just like her
just write chaotic good.
Yeah, so you can write CG.
CG?
Yeah. So meaning the laws that mankind puts up aren't really what she's concerned about.
Okay.
She's good at any cost.
Hence the reason she is perfectly okay with prostitution.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? She believes in the natural goodness of things.
And would we write the Olstein down on here somewhere as
we can put that
as
in
an arch enemy, a nemesis?
We can write that in her background section. So like, there's a little stuff like on this second page, which we didn't even use last time. So you have like some backstory notes and things like that you can fill out.
All right, well, I'll fill that out. I'll fill all that stuff out.
Let's do our stats first
later. So we're going to start rolling, right?
We're going to roll dice, because that's a fun way to do it. So you're going to roll these 4 6-sided, just subtract the lowest number, which in this case would be 1. So we got a very bad.
Yeah, that was
7.
terrible.
We got a 7 going on. So,
that was awful.
So 7, and then we have an 11.
Yep.
I add dice really fast. Oh wow, that's a 9.
Wow, so she is awful.
She's not feeling as good as Bonar. That's for sure. So that gives us a 14. All right.
7, 11, 9, 14. We need one more roll.
We need 2 more.
2 more.
There we go.
That's about time.
Better. That's another 14. And that's a 12. So she doesn't have like incredible stats. So stats kind of dictate a lot of how powerful your character is. Bronar had some pretty good rolls. When we did Bonar, Growrod.
Yeah. I know it's very confusing.
So one thing you can do, like if you like your stats, just tell your DM, these stats suck.
Hey, these stats suck.
Let's roll a new batch. We can just roll a new batch. But for the time being, what we're going to do is, for the sake of brevity, we can fix the stats later. We will put our highest stat in Wisdom, because Wisdom is the spellcasting ability for clerics.
Okay.
Like Wisdom. So
you obviously want that to be the highest.
We want that to be the highest. So in this case, for our example here, we're going to put the 14 in Wisdom.
Okay.
We had another 14. So then it gets a little like. After Wisdom, clerics can do all sorts of things. They can wear some good armor. They can stand in the front line. We kind of want her to be survivable, I'm guessing.
Yes.
So let's put it in Constitution, which is like health.
Okay.
The second 14. So then we have a 12. No, it was a 12, 11, 9, and 7.
It doesn't really matter at this point because they all sucked anyway. Okay. So let's make it up.
9 and 7. So we had 2 average rolls and 2 below average rolls left, and 2 slightly above average rolls. So let's go ahead and pop some dexterity. Put the 12 there.
Okay.
We're gonna do the strength is gonna be our dump stat because we're not worried about being strong.
Yeah.
We have bonar
So
for that.
7 goes in
So
there.
we're gonna put the 7 there because she's a little gnome.
Yeah.
She's small. Like gnomes are, like if you picture a forest gnome in someone's yard with a little cone hat and stuff. She's a gnome. She's little. She's like 2.5 feet tall.
Not based on strength very much.
And then so we have the 9. We'll put the 9 in intelligence, and we'll put the 11 in charisma.
Okay.
So she didn't get a lot of book learning growing up in the brothel. I mean, she's super wise. There's a lot of common sense.
She's street smart.
But she didn't have a lot of like math and arithmetic and things like that.
Not to be expected in a brothel.
Yeah. They didn't spend too much time on book learning. All right, cool. So now we get so we have the stats, and then we go and we have this really handy dandy page that has the cleric on it, and it tells you everything she's getting. So proficiency bonus, we're gonna do a 2. All first level characters have a 2.
All right. I need to put level 1 up here.
She is level 1, yes. Her hit points are going to start at full, so it's 8 hit points plus her Constitution modifier, which is 2, so she's going to start with 10 hit points.
Where'd they go?
Okay, so that's right, yeah. So each stat gives you something. So the 7 is going to be a -2. The Dex is going to be a +1, +2, -1, +2, 0.
Got it.
All right. So for her hit points, she gets 8 to start with, and then we get to add Constitution to it. So that gives her 10 hit points total to start with. And you're
Points, so
write
10
that right there.
Okay, so how do we get to that again?
So she gets 8 based on her being a cleric.
Yes.
On first level.
And then you're adding the +2.
And then you add your bonus for Constitution.
Gotcha.
All right. She's going to get spell casting, so she's going to get spells, which is pretty cool. And then she's going to get what this thing called a domain. And what a domain is, it's kind of like the area of focus of whatever religion or pantheon your cleric worshipped. In our case, we're doing a life cleric, so it is specifically a cleric of healing and making things live and making things robust and natural. So what that means is she gets some extra abilities based on her life domain. So she's going to get some bonus spells. We're gonna cheat the spells because this part takes a long time.
There's nothing wrong with that.
We're gonna cheat that. So as a life cleric, she's proficient in heavy armor, so she can wear like the heaviest armors that a warrior could wear.
Even being so tiny.
So she just wears this big suit of metal, even though she's little, but it's like a little ball of steel. So she's also going to get a Disciple of Life ability, so we can write that under her abilities.
Features and traits.
Yeah, I'll write it under features.
So what was it called?
Disciple of Life.
Disciple.
That is the name of the ability. And that makes her healing spells more powerful when she heals. So she gets to add an additional 2 plus whatever level of the spell is to the healing. So
okay. So I put a +2 here?
So it would be 2 plus spell level. So you'd be +2 or 2 plus spell level. Okay. So if she's casting a first level spell, she's automatically healing a bonus 3 hit points.
Okay.
So, and plus, she's also going to be adding her wisdom to that. So it's a bonus 5 hit points to whatever she rolls.
Gotcha.
So it starts getting out of hand when she's like casting higher and higher level spells.
Because you're adding up a whole lot of different things.
Yeah, you just add up a bunch of stuff and she just heals and heals and heals. It is a very focused character.
Mm-hmm.
Hesfina,
yes.
She does.
You can call her Fina for short.
Yeah, we can call her Hesfina. So then what happens is we're going to pick a background from her. And the background is going to give us our skills, like the stuff she knows how to do. So as the background, we have a couple of different ones to pick from in the book. So we have an acolyte, which is someone who studied in a church or a cloister of some sort.
Okay.
That's the acolyte background. We have a charlatan background, which is like a scam artist, con man.
I think she might be a charlatan, but let's see what else we have.
We have a criminal, which is that. We have an entertainer. There's definitely a folk hero, which could fit as well as she went through her local community and healed all of the necrotic snatchiitis.
That's true. This is
true. Could be a
true.
folk hero. A guild artisan is someone who's a craftsman of some sort. There's a hermit, which doesn't really sound like her. A noble doesn't sound like her. An outlander, someone who lives from far beyond civilization.
No, I think that's what we had. Bonar.
Yeah, Bonar
was an outlander.
We have a sailor. We have an urchin, someone who grew up on the streets alone. That doesn't sound like her either.
No, she grew up in the brothel. Damn it.
We're gonna have to try and do something like maybe charlatan.
I was kind of liking Charlatan,
I know,
or
I
what
could
was the
see
other
her,
one?
because she was too young to perform at the brothel. I can imagine her in the corner doing some 3-card Monty for the guests, or maybe even
An
an
entertainer?
entertainer. Like she would play like the hammered dulcimer in the corner.
She's a healing entertainer. She's kind of like Patch Adams.
Like Patch Adams.
Patch Adams. I like that.
That can be her nickname, Patches.
Josefina Patches Paplomidis. Okay, so what does that? So let's go. Let's go with entertainer.
Let's go with entertainer.
So let's say, what does that? What does that do for the character?
What that does is that gives her 2 new proficiencies. So that's going to give her acrobatics.
Okay, so you just color that in.
And performance. So that means these are skills that all the skills are governed by the ability score: strength, dexterity, constitution. So what this means is you get to add your proficiency bonus plus whatever your stat is here. So for like acrobatics, it's dexterity. Without being proficient in it, you just add 1 to it.
Mm-hmm.
But with being proficient, we get to add 3 to it.
Okay.
She also gets a disguise kit, and you can just write down here
disguise kit.
And she can pick one type of musical instrument. So, it could be bagpipes. It could be a
bagpipes don't seem very brothel.
It could probably be like maybe a flute of some sort.
I was thinking flute.
I was thinking maybe a flute.
She seems like a flautist.
She seems like a flautist.
So do you write flute down here?
Yeah.
So she has that on her?
Yeah, so she would be musical instrument, flute. So that gets her that. She's also going to get a musical instrument, so she has the flute. She's going to get a favor of an admirer, so someone who thinks she's super cute.
Okay.
Like, a lock of hair.
Can we write that in here too?
Yes, you would write that under equipment and stuff. So like that's like stuff she has.
Oh, should I write flute over here?
Well, that's her flute proficiency, but she actually has it.
Oh, okay, so then I write flute.
So if she ever loses her flute and comes across another flute,
and she gets that flute.
Or if there's any reason she needs to mess with a flute in the game.
Gotcha.
Any kind of flute.
Okay, what's next?
She has 15 gold coins.
Where do you put that at?
Under the third one. This is kind of hard to see because of my printer, but it's copper, silver, gold, electrum, and platinum are the different currencies.
Wait,
so it's like
EP or GP?
It's GP, it's gold.
So that's EP.
Oh, is that? Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, it's gold.
So the 1,500 gold?
Yeah, gotcha. So like copper is like $1, silver is like a $5 bill. Well, not really, because...
But they all have different values.
Yeah.
And so much copper makes...
10 copper make a silver, 10 silver make a gold.
Okay.
Electrum's like a $2 bill. It's really weird.
Gotcha.
I don't even know why. Okay, so now we have those two. And then for her other skills, she gets to pick from history, insight, medicine. Give her medicine.
Yes. So where do we put that?
We're going to make the
medicine. There
medicine. We go. Persuasion and religion.
How many do we pick?
So you're going to get one more. Between history, which she probably doesn't know because...
Yeah, she was in a brothel.
Yeah. Insight, which is governing how people... if other people are lying to her.
I think she would be pretty proficient in that. Yeah. So I'm thinking insight.
Yeah, that sounds great. And then she gets gear. All right. So the gear, she's going to start with a mace, which is like a little ball and stick.
Yeah.
So that's her weapon. So she gets a mace. We can write that right here. Mace.
Attack and spellcasting.
Yeah. So just fill it up. A mace. She is going to have -2 to hit with it.
-2 because she's tiny.
And she's going to deal a 1d6 -2.
1d6 -2.
So she doesn't. So unlike Bonar, she's like
she's kind of barely swinging it around.
But she's going to get her spell and she's going to go. Blow people up, or more than likely just heal. She's going to get scale mail armor, so you can write that under equipment.
Scale mail.
Mm-hmm. Oh no! Get her chainmail. I apologize.
Okay, chainmail.
Chainmail. She's going to get a light crossbow, so she gets a small little crossbow.
Put that here.
That here. And that's actually going to be dex based, so that's probably what she'll use. So that's time +1 to hit.
Okay.
And it's D8 +1 damage.
1d8 +1.
So yeah, it's much better than her mace.
Okay.
Her mace is just there for decoration. She's going to have a priest pack. She's going to have a shield. And the holy symbol of Aphrodite. Which is all pretty cool.
All right.
So now, since she has chainmail and a shield, her armor class is going to be 18.
Wow.
So, better armor
So she
class
can take
than,
some hits.
Well, she can just dodge hits. Like, she can just ignore them because of her armor class. Like, so her armor class is actually better than Bonar's, which is good because we don't really want her getting hit because she needs to keep everyone alive. All right. So that is the bare basics. The next thing is the spells, and with her, what happens with clerics? There's a big list of spells that takes up like half the page. There's like 40 different spells. So what it is you get cantrips, which are spells that you can cast over and over and over and over again.
Okay.
They have kind of minor effects, but all day long you can just cast them.
There's no limit. It's not like you can only have 2 of these per day.
Yeah. So like once you jump into the levels of spells, so like first level, second level, there's a limit to how many you can cast per day and how many you can have prepared.
Okay.
So starting out, Hesfina can have 2 first level spells, but she knows 3 cantrips. So the cantrips you pick and then pick.
Okay.
That's it. The first levels, the neat thing about it is you have access to every single spell on the list, but every morning when you prepare your spells, you're going, I'm going to know...
You have to pick one.
Cure Wounds today, and I'm going to know Sanctuary today.
Okay.
And you can cast them in any combination, like, oh, well, I need to cast Cure Wounds twice, or I need to cast one of each, or you can do that. But every day you can change it, which is neat, because unlike a wizard has to like find spells and have a book, and he can only pick from what's in his book. Since a cleric is divinely inspired,
they have access to
they can
all
just
of them.
switch, and they're like, oh, well, I guess my deity wants me to know this today. You know what I mean? So it's pretty good. I mean, most often she's probably going to have Cure Wounds on her, probably Healing Word to start with.
Yeah,
that's healing spells. But we won't fill out the spell sheet yet because it's customizable. Before we start the game, we'll have like the spells that
list of this is what we got to do.
Suggest for the adventure. And that's pretty much it. Like Hesfina's pretty solidly done. This is going faster and faster every time.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't need to get a feat. Oh, the background we're gonna put entertainer. We're gonna
that's right
there. And this one is an Adventurers League log sheet, so this one's a little different because this is the organized play character sheet.
Okay.
They're both on there. I just had the.
This is the one.
I just opened the wrong file.
That's fine.
But this one will keep like a faction, and that's primarily for Adventurers League. Like they have different factions you can be a part of to unlock different content, and then you have your DCI number. Your DCI number is like your serial number for Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons, and it keeps track of like how successful you are at these events.
Okay.
DCI numbers are huge. Mine's actually kind of short. I got it long. I knew a guy who had a 4-digit DCI number. To play with him. No.
I take it that's a big thing.
Now they're like 12 digits long.
So he's been around a while, is what you're saying. That's like having a social security number of like 4.
Yeah, we've been around a while. It started with magic,
So Hesfina is she's pretty much done at this point.
Pretty much done.
We just really need to wrap up the the storyline that I'll fill out, and we'll do all that stuff when we're done here. But just to give you another quick rundown of what we've been doing. We had Bonar Growrod. He was our half-orc barbarian that we created last week. This week we have created our gnome cleric, who is Hesfina Papillomavis.
Patches.
And also known as Patches. I forgot about that. Patches in there.
It's just such a funny nickname.
All right, so we got Patches there. And the reason her nickname is Patches is kind of her backstory.
Yes.
So she grew up in a brothel that her mother owned and ran. She was the madam, and she felt that they were really serving society with this thing because it was a place for men to go. They could relieve some stress, they could hang out, they could talk, they could play games. She would entertain them with all different sorts of games, maybe like Justin saying like some 3-card monte or something like that, or her flute playing could be another way that she was entertaining the guests. But the problem being, right around when she was a middle-aged teenager, 14, 15 possibly, would be when the Olstein came in. And the Olstein is this character whose morals are better than yours. And if you don't believe in his morals, you're wrong. And he will do whatever he can to take down anything that does not match his moral code. And obviously, prostitution being one of those things. So he came in and he infected the women of the brothel with the plague of necrotizing snatchiitis. And it took down the brothel from the inside. And Patches watched this amazing thing that she grew up around just come crumbling down all around her. and it pushed her to a have her enemy be the Olstein. Like this is still the man that she's looking to get after, no matter what she's doing. That little nugget is always there, and she's just waiting to run into the Olstein again. And then another part being that this really pushed her towards the medical arts, if you will, where healing and things like that, because she truly just watched this disease ravage this thing that she loved so much. So now she wants to heal people of that. She follows Aphrodite. She believes in love. She believes in beauty. She believes in kind of free love, if you will. She would be a hippie if she were, around here these days. A healing hippie. But yeah, so
is there any other time?
Yeah. So that's kind of our backstory, and that's everything here for Hespina Paplomovus, our cleric gnome. And
yeah, it's pretty cool. Like we will do next, I think, our rogue character, our sneaky infiltrator type. Who,
I think that one sounds pretty good.
Deals with traps and
sneaking around and being able to.
Doesn't belong to him, and
I like that. I like that. All right, so we'll work on that one next week. Again, we're going to do 2 more of these, so that it will complete 4 total characters, and these 4 are going to be the ones that we then go quest with on the same channel here, where we're going to have some consistency with it a little bit more, because we've played a couple of games out at Military Gamer Supply where we allowed people to come in and play. Well, the problem is it really kind of gets bogged down a lot with explaining of the rules and having inconsistent characters, and what we're hoping is to ravel all of that up together, so that we
people
can
be like, you are going to be Bonar today, you are going to
and we know the storylines, and you're going to learn to love and care about these characters. You're going to love Patches, you're going to love Bonar, and whatever the other 2 that we're going to come up with are going to end up being. And so and then the Olstein, he's one of our first real big bad guys.
He's going to be sort of a villain that could be a key part. As of course, we're developing this whole world that we're doing. It's the Grand River Valley sort of setting.
And that's the other thing, is that this isn't taking place in your typical
D&D world. It's something we're making up, and it's all borderland, El Paso based all the way along the edge of Texas.
And who knows, maybe the Olstein is way over across the mystical state of Tejas, into Houstonia. And that's where his megachurch is. I don't know. We're making this up as we go. But this is what makes Dungeons & Dragons so amazing, is that's really what you're doing is, you have
teaming up and making a story.
Yeah, you kind of have this thing that the Dungeon Master has come up with. And then it's really it's all about your imagination and what you can come up with, which is great because, I don't know about you, I have a very active imagination. I can think of just random shit all the time. It's just kind of what we're doing right now. But yeah, so then we'll come up with our next character next week.
Yep, sounds great.
On that note, we'll see you guys later.
See you guys next time.
Turn this bad boy off.
Yeah.